Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Sheeta D here on YouTube and saying a great, good Sunday morning to you. If you're watching live, if you're watching the replay, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Say hey to me and my extra special guest. I'm here with Natisha Willis, who is online as Coach Tish. Natisha is a friend of mine, a wonderful coach, a advocate for everyone she meets, as far as I can tell. She's always out here spreading the good gospel of everyone she knows. And she is a resident of, well, you live in Playa del Carmen.
I do.
Yes. Okay. So we have a lot of people in the audience who are thinking of making Playa their home. So we're going to talk about that. But first, I want to talk to you a little bit about how we got to here. So you started you used to live in Chicago, right?
I'm originally born and mostly raised in Chicago, yes.
Okay. Born and mostly raised in Chicago. What is the transition from Chicago to Playa del Carmen?
So it's a journey. I think that's the best way to describe it. It was definitely not a one-step, one-hit-a-quitter type deal. My first international trip is kind of what got me to where I am now. The very first time I left the country was in 2008, Christmas 2008, and I was going to Nigeria with my college roommate. And I knew from that experience alone, I was just like, oh, this is the life I'm supposed to live. Like, I had no experience. I've lived all over the country, but I'd never lived anywhere where it was summer in December. So that was like, oh yeah, this is how I'm supposed to live, right? So we had a driver, house girl, all manner of things that I was completely unfamiliar with being from Inglewood, Southside. And I made a decision that I was absolutely moving to another country. In 2008, I didn't know how, I didn't know when, but I knew it was happening. And in 2008, the only people I knew who lived in another country, who lived abroad, were either teaching English, teaching math, or were in public service. I can't remember that program where you volunteer and you go live in another country and that, yeah.
I can't remember the word right now, but someone in the audience is going to tell us in a minute.
But I knew none of those were the options for me. Okay. And in 2008, coaching was not what it is now. So I figured something would come up. I wasn't sure what it was, but I just continued on my journey. And 2000, I also vowed to take a trip every year. Peace Corps, that's what it is. Thank you.
My audience knows everything.
Yes,
I can't remember, they come through.
Yes. So I just decided that, I trusted that something was going to come up. I didn't know what it was, but I was going to find a way to move abroad. And so at the time I was in grad school, finished grad school, decided to pursue a PhD, which took me to Maryland, Baltimore area. That experience took me on a bit of a journey. Dropped out of my PhD program, went to massage school, started doing massage, studied herbalism, yoga, joined a bit of I don't want to call it a cult, but it was a very,
I'm laughing because with friends, she calls it a cult. So she's trying to keep it PC right now.
Listen, I'm trying to recover, right? Because I'm trying not to demonize my past because it helps me. Like, so I'm trying to figure. I haven't figured that out. So
it's an experience you have.
You know what I'm saying? It's an experience. I joined an organization that I thought we were moving abroad. We didn't. I left that organization. I went to Bliss, and for my family, as far as my family knew, I was moving to Bliss. Ran out of money in 2 months. Came back, found another job. Lived out my backpack for the remainder of a year. Found another job, invested in coaching, coach training, marketing, understanding marketing, joined masterminds, burned completely out, and then decided I was going to put all my business stuff on the back burner and focus on my health And in 90 days, I was laid off and on my way to Mexico.
Okay.
So that's the short version. So I say it's a journey because it wasn't just, oh, I'm moving to another country. Like it was a lot of preparation mentally, spiritually. What I realize now is I had a lot of the experiences that I had were so that I would understand how to stay here. Right. So when I left, that I would be able to stay gone and not, do that, run out of money again and have to bounce back and forth and do all of that. So.
Okay. And what year the journey you just talked about, what year did that start?
10 years. From Nigeria was 2008 to moving to Mexico was 2018.
Yes. And that was like July-ish.
May. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I met you in Playa in the summer of 2018.
Yes.
When you were new there, but now you have been here.
I'm old here.
That's crazy.
It's ridiculous. I feel like I should at least get 18 of those months back because pandemic.
Yes.
So.
Well, listen, pandemic and paying for rent in Playa versus
you know what I'm saying?
Paying for rent in Chicago.
There's no way. Right? There's no way. There's no way.
So one of the things I want people to know about you is that you are both a remote employee and an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And so you manage that. You manage building community where you live. I know that you are hooked in. You're in a co-working space right now. I know you have a lot of friends and community through your co-working space. So I kind of want to talk about why Playa. So you were going to Mexico. Why in that journey did it take you to Playa?
I'll be completely honest. Most people who are at a place in their journey where they want to move, right? Where they're thinking of it, they're doing all this research. I didn't do that, right? Research stresses me out. So when I got laid off from my job after spending the previous 3.5 years investing in training and writing a book and launching programs and doing all of this stuff, by the time I got laid off, in my mind, my job is standing in my way, right? Like it's my job that's preventing me from doing, the work that I feel called to do in this world. And so in my mind, when I came to Mexico, cool, it's gonna be absolutely great. Well, no, when I got laid off, it was like, oh, cool, I can move abroad, use this 6 months of unemployment, do what I got to do to grow my business. And in my mind, because I had been in the groups, I'd just been in the Facebook groups, just paying attention to what people were talking about. My options were Mexico, Bali, and Thailand. Like that's what I had in my mind. Those were the places that I wanted to live. And the only reason Mexico came up was because I'd taken Spanish classes in like elementary school, high school, like a class in college. And so I had only been to Cancun. I had been to Tulum, but it was nothing there when I went. So it wasn't as poppin' as it is now. Well, there was stuff there, but it definitely wasn't where it is now. And so it was nearby. So it was like, all right, Bali and Thailand are like bucket list places. They're super far. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought about it, it was like, well, Mexico is right here. If I need to get back, then, it's right here. I can I'm at least familiar with the language. I wasn't fluent by any means, but I knew that the cost of living in terms of the peso to dollar was reasonable, enough where $1,500 a month on unemployment, I wouldn't be starving. And so the more I thought about it, the work that I intend to do, I wanted to, in my mind, because I did this wellness thing for so long, it was like, okay, I need to host wellness retreats for leaders, for Black women leaders. So and Black women in America typically aren't taking 3 weeks off work at a time. So Mexico is right here. Like as I started thinking about it, Mexico just made sense.
Okay.
And like I said, I'll research when time is not of the essence. When time is of the essence, I go off of what I feel. So I'm big on God, send me a sign. And so I said, okay, if I'm going to Mexico, this is a conversation I'm having with myself. If I'm going to Mexico, the only 2 places I know of in Mexico are Playa del Carmen and Mexico City. Send me a sign. And I kid you not, like 2 days later, I'm walking in the gym, and as I'm walking in, there's a girl walking out, and she has a shirt on that says Playa del Carmen, Playa del Carmen, Playa. I said, okay, well, there go my sign.
There's your sign. There's your sign. And I already know this, that you know Mexico City isn't for you.
I did not. I know it now, but I knew nothing about Mexico.
Yes.
Like I didn't know
Yes.
I didn't know.
The
so
sign
the
was
irony.
clear, because now that you've been to Mexico City, you know.
I was like, oh no, this ain't it.
She's wrong. Okay, it's not for her. It's not for her.
No.
Know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Chicago. Like I'm from the big city. What I've noticed is people who love big city life, like they love Mexico City. I didn't even know beach life. I'm from Chicago. Again, I'm from Chicago, right? So in terms of like people, I didn't know what I didn't know. And so moving to a beach town, like I didn't even know I liked the beach. I didn't know I liked walking along the beach. I didn't know that I liked walking, right? Because Chicago, Baltimore suburbs, I lived in Howard County. Like we drove everywhere.
Right.
I knew I hated riding the train. I knew I hated public transportation, but I didn't know that I didn't know walking was an option.
All right. So, and now you're in Playa. You still have your beach cruiser, right?
I do. It's pink now. I have a pink one now.
You used to have that like teal green,
yes,
right?
Yes, it was like a neon yellow. Now I have a pink
that's
one.
what it was.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So you got your sign to Playa del Carmen.
I did.
You came to Playa and you already knew some people here because of the Facebook groups?
Because I think this is something important that most of us miss. Build relationships before you need them, because you don't know where you're going to need them. You don't know when they're going to come up. You don't know anything. Build relationships with people that you actually like. Let me be clear, right? Because I think oftentimes we get into this thing where we're like, oh, this is somebody who I need to know. This is somebody worth knowing. Let me try to, get next to them. And we do it unintentionally. But typically, a lot of times there's people that we don't like who are popular, who are popping, who are, I knew that I wanted to live abroad, but, so I was just in Facebook groups where people were traveling a lot. And so I started just building relationships, right? Like I created a mastermind. I wanted to know, who are these Black women who look like they are doing the damn thing in business? Like I want to sit down with them. So I created just a group of mastermind. I invited each one of us, like 4 or 5 women to the table, maybe 5 or 6. And ironically, when I got here, 2 of those women were here. Like we did not know that each other were going to be here. It just, again, I'm big on following the signs and like what I feel. And so, yeah, it just so happened that those 2 of those women were already here.
Okay. What else, since you've gotten there, what else have you done to build community in Playa for yourself?
So I practiced building community online before I got here, right? So like going in Facebook groups, commenting on posts, reaching out individually to people who I want to connect with, who I want to learn more about, not people who I think I can use or something like that, but just people I want to know more about. Like, let's hang out. Like, let's do a coffee chat. Are you open to, you know what I mean? So because I was already doing that, by the time I got here, that's something I continued, right? Because I've recognized every new level for me requires new relationships. So in order for me to create a sustainable life, I need relationships. It's not what I know, it's who knows me, so that I don't have to worry about knowing everything, right? So definitely maintain those online relationships. And that's been through business programs, that's been through free Facebook groups, attending summits like yours, but staying involved in some way with people who are not in my city. That has been a game changer. So then that allows me to be more intentional and with the relationships that I build where I live.
Okay.
So here in Playa, for sure, I joined a co-working space. That was completely accidental though. Like I literally met a girl in Walmart, a black woman. I saw a black woman in Walmart. I'm like, hey, how you doing? And she told me about a co-working space. And I was just like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to join that. And like 2 weeks later, I got a remote job and I reached out to her like, where you say that co-working space was again? And so joining the co-working space, that gave me insight into, that gave me some local plug, right? I think a lot of people come here and our natural inclination is let me find the black people. When I got to Playa, there was a handful of black people. There was maybe 10 black people that I knew, and I'll be completely honest, half of them I ain't really like. And so I didn't want to hang with people that I don't like because I'm like, again, I don't do stuff that I don't like to do. I don't be around people I don't like. And I'm sure they ain't like me neither, right? Like I'm a very acquired taste. I'll put it that way.
Big personality.
It is what it is.
So
it is what it is. Everybody's not gonna like everybody. Let's stop pretending that's the case. That don't mean we gotta be mean. You know, I'll still speak, hey, what's going on? But if I got a choice, if I have an option to hang with folk I don't like or to be by myself, I'll be by myself. Like read a book, watch some Netflix, go sit by the beach, contemplate life, my next moves, whatever. And so there weren't a lot of people here for me to hang with. So I spent a lot of time either by myself or with like one or two cool people that I, genuinely enjoyed their company.
Okay.
And those one or two people began to connect me to other folks. So it's just been a very organic, I think, process that begins with, all right, what am I feeling? And which of these feelings do I enjoy, do I want to feel?
Okay.
Even if it's uncomfortable, right? Because then let me be clear, just because I like people don't mean that there wasn't like growth on my part, right? So I had to grow. I had to, I didn't have to, but I chose to take the opportunity to grow. I chose to allow the people that I genuinely enjoyed them as people to expose me to different things and then to think about the things that I was being exposed to. Like I had my first tomahawk steak here. I didn't know what the hell that was until I came to Playa and hanging out with Claire. I'm like, oh, with a mutual friend of ours. So,
okay. I love that story, and now I'm hungry. So you say steak, and I'm like, where? What's going on? What's happening?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Question for you. So the black people were here, and more black people have come since he's been there in 3 years. Lots of people are coming to Playa. How have you been able to form community with the people who were local to Playa? The people who, I don't know how many people, I don't know if a lot of the Mexican people there are from other cities, surrounding cities, or whether they're from, I thought that might be the case.
Yeah.
So how do you build community with the non-black people in your life?
So the co-working space has been like the hub for me. If you think about a wheel and spokes, like the co-working space has been the center of that. And from the co-working space, because so many people work remote, like there's entrepreneurs, there's employees like me, there's people who do both. And so there's a WhatsApp chat within the co-working space. And so somebody's always hosting something. And if I feel like it's something that I would like to learn about, by the way, those are the 3 ways that I meet people is like eating, learning, or sweating. So that's typically what I'm going to. Ironically, I just bought a ticket to a soap making class next weekend. So, I'm learning something that seems kind of interesting. Ironically, somebody said in the chat that you're not moving to another country to do the same stuff. At some point, there needs to be a balance. Mm-hmm. Right. There's some things that I've taken a soap making class before, never taken one in Spanish though. So,
yes.
So, there needs to be a balance between things that are new and things that are similar to what you've done before.
Mm-hmm.
So because otherwise, if you're just trying to be new all the time, your nervous system, you get overwhelmed. Now you feel like, you're super homesick. Like you need some things to ground you. Like I brought my Alexa or whatever that blue thing is, Alexa, and I listen to Luther Vandross in the mornings. You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna find Luther Vandross on the local radio stations in Mexico.
I don't even know a local radio station out here. I tried to get my Uber driver to tell me the other day, and he was like, "It's an app," and I was like, "Oh, okay." So we don't listen. No one listening to local radio here. Okay. Tell us about because I know we have a lot of people who, if they move to Playa or anywhere, will want to work remotely. Mm-hmm. Tell us in a little bit more detail about the co-working space.
So there are several. Each co-working space has a different feel, a different vibe, a different culture. It just so happened that this co-working space was the one closest to my house. And thank goodness that it was, because I think this has been my saving grace, right? It's basically like a community center. Now, some of the other co-working spaces are a bit more expat centered, which a lot of times, I'll be honest with you, oftentimes means white. And that could be white American, that could be European. But being in this space for me has meant there's now a restaurant upstairs, right? So now there's food here if I want to work here. I have 24-hour keyless access. So if my Wi-Fi is acting up, run down to the co-working space, right? But one of the things that I've noticed being here, community has become very, very, very important. I always thought it was important before, but being in a different country where you don't know the language and you're still trying to understand cultural nuances, I needed to be tied in, connected to people who know this environment a little bit better than I do, and not from an American outsider perspective. Right. So the owners are from Mexico City, but they've lived in Playa forever and they're Mexican. Right. Mm-hmm. So even though they're not Playenses, they're not from Playa, they still understand. I can learn the culture. Like a couple of them, like they do field trips coming from here. Like we'll go to the cenotes. We've done that a few times. And so that gives me a feel for how things actually work. What I've noticed with hanging with expats who are not necessarily from here, who try to create experiences, and not to say that one is better than the other. It's actually good to experience both so that But I've noticed the prices are slightly higher when someone who's not from here is hiring the drivers,
right?
Or you know what I mean? Whereas someone whose native language is Spanish, they get the good deals. Right. So it's good to know, it's good to have community, to have a well-rounded community. And it's way good to know, just to be informed. It's so funny. People always ask me, do you watch the news? Hell no. And so, they tell me, oh, but don't you want to know what's going on? No. But when it comes to my local community and the experiences that directly impact me, I absolutely want to know what's going on. So I, make sure I kick it with the Black folks, make sure I kick it with, Mexican led experiences. And, I think that helps me have a good experience here. And some people don't have a very good experience. And I think that's a large reason why.
Okay, that's fair. I think that a lot of times what happens to people is they move abroad with certain expectations. And when those expectations aren't met, they don't know how to adjust.
Yeah, it's an emotional journey. This is really about, and I think that's something that's not talked about enough. This is really about you mastering your emotions, feeling them, learning how not to stuff them or disconnect or detach from them, feeling them, and then identifying, all right, what of this did I contribute to? How did I contribute to this? How can I have a different experience?
Yes.
Right? Like, how can I look at this differently? How can I experience this differently? Like, what does this look like? And that takes a lot of, engaging with yourself. Most people come here, America, I gotta be honest, America is really good at escapisms, right? Like, we escape our emotions and our feelings through shopping, through food. We stay busy, like coming to a beach town. You have a really cool opportunity to look at yourself, and everybody doesn't take that opportunity. And I've seen that impacts their experience greatly, like in a really big way.
Okay. Kayla just mentioned, Kayla is moving to Playa, and she just
nice. Bienvenido.
But so I have been thinking about joining a co-working space here. But the one that I can see out my window is WeWork. And I'm like, that just don't feel like.
You never know.
I don't know, and I haven't tried. So perhaps I need to try. But I always convince myself that I can be just as productive at home, and it's a lie. It's a lie.
The one thing that I've noticed, I do both. Like, it's easy, it's good. Like, you can do both, right? Like, you can. I don't come to I used to be in the co-work. Like, this was my second house. I had stuff like I did not rent I was really breaking the rules, and for whatever reason they let me. But but I'm also big on, community in terms of local. Like, that's one thing that I've noticed about Mexico. They'll have 15, 30,000 Oxxos, 7-Elevens in the city, and it don't matter because people only go to the one that's in their neighborhood. Right? So that's something that I've brought with me in terms of I do what's easy. I'm not going out of my way. I go to the laundromat that's right across the street. I go to the grocery store that's 1 block over. Like, and so co-working spaces, this one is 3 blocks from my house. So this is the one. So if that's the one that's closest to you, because you don't want to make it, like, it don't need to be a pain in the ass in order for you to, you know what I mean? Like, get community. Like, because building community is a pain in the ass, you're not going to do it consistently.
Right. That's a good point. So I think it's WeWork. So I feel like it's mostly going to be non-Mexicans, but I can go check it out and see. I'll see. I won't know until I try. We've got a Playa specific question from Kayla.
Okay.
Which is, would love to hear how you found your housing, which I was there for that.
You were?
We were on apartment tours together. Yes, we did.
So my first place, Airbnb. I think that's what everyone does when you first come to a new country. You get an Airbnb, maybe for a week, maybe for 2. What I did, let me tell you what I did. Okay. Airbnb first. So I secured an Airbnb for 2 weeks. And then I walked around neighborhoods and I used Facebook Marketplace. And so again, I'm very, it's so interesting. Like, I feel so cut and dry. Like, I have an accounting degree, but I'm very much so intuitively guided. Right. So I'm like, I'm super big on, like, I need a sign. Like, that's, I guess that's my balance. Like, I need proof that this is where I'm supposed to be. So my very first apartment, I happened to be walking past it. And then I found that same apartment on Facebook Marketplace. Didn't know it was the same apartment until I came to see it. That was the first one. The second one, I'm pretty sure, same thing. Well, no, I found that one for sure via Facebook Marketplace because there's tons of realtors and people who will help you find apartments. But I knew which neighborhood, I knew a little bit more. So I knew the neighborhood that I wanted to live in. And so she helped. And so that realtor helped me. This third apartment, which I'll be moving soon, a realtor of a friend, a couple of people actually had worked with this, like 3 people I knew had worked with this realtor. So that's the importance of community. When you first come here, like, you might have to do things a little bit like solo, a little bit, right? But it's like you and God. Like, listen to your intuition, listen to your gut. But after you've been here, like, you should have community. Like, that's the point of having community. So you're not flying blind. You don't have to work with somebody who don't have no background, right? Like, my trust on people who support me is based on the trust that I have with people who I have known longer, right? Like I dig new friends, but hopefully somebody I know you, or you're connected with somebody who I know,
right,
in some way. But yeah, that's how I found my housing. So this latest realtor, who was actually really good. Oh, you're going to be in Playa. I can shoot you. I don't know how I can. I don't know how
I can connect you too.
Okay, good. But yeah, Haziel is really good. She helped me find my new place, and so I'll probably be moving in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Yay. Are you comfortable talking about the apartments you've had and the prices?
Sure.
Okay, love to hear.
So the very first, let me be clear, when I first moved here, got an Airbnb, and I actually lived in Cozumel, and I got a sublet. The very first sublet I had was like $150 a month. Okay. So that was in Cozumel. When I came to Playa, I had a studio apartment, no AC, great cross breeze though. Very basic apartment in a, like, I guess, traditionally styled apartment building. Like, it wasn't modern at all. I think it had like a hot plate, super basic. I don't cook, so I didn't care. And that was like $300 a month. I wanted to
Pause. You got to pause on that number.
Oh, $300.
You say $300 a month for housing. You got to pause on that number. Let us all soak it in real quick. We got to soak it in. So studio apartment.
6,000 pesos. Yeah.
And the quick answer, the quick math is divide by 20. It's not always like that, but $300.
Yeah. And I was on unemployment at the time, so I was like, bet. We are staying. Unemployment was $400 a week. I could afford to live in another country. Oh, baby, let's go.
Let's go. Okay, so studio apartment, $300, and you liked the neighborhood. The neighborhood wasn't.
I love the neighborhood.
Right on the beach, right? But it was a really local neighborhood, if I'm remembering it.
Yeah, it was like a mixed. I guess if there were a mixed income community. So my building was older, like more established, and then there were some brand new condos being built across the street. Now, of course, brand new condos sounds good until, you hearing all this banging and shit going on throughout the day. So that was where the co-working space came in handy.
Okay. All right. So $300 for the first apartment in Playa, right?
Yep, in Playa. And that was 3 years ago.
That was and did the rent go up, or did it stay at 6,000 pesos?
No, it stayed at 6,000 pesos the entire time that I was there.
Right?
Yeah, no rent increase.
The glamorous beach city. Imagine what you could. Okay, so this is one thing I always try to talk to my audience about. Imagine how much less you could work, and how much you could decompress, and how much you could dig into you if you only had to work $300, like $300 worth of work a month to pay for your rent. Like, imagine, and you can walk to the beach, you can ride your bike to the beach, go around town, and all of the amenities that you might want from the US are in Playa. Like, there's nothing, I mean, you might know some things that are missing, but for the most part.
Well, see, and I think I didn't come here, and I was just talking to my therapist about this the other day. Like, when I came, she asked me, how was the transition? And for me, I didn't come here with expectations, right? Like, I came here with the feeling that I'm going to take advantage of literally everything that this opportunity has to offer, and I'm going to experience it all, right? So I didn't, again, and then, so that's what I mean about that emotional mastery, right? Because we don't recognize how much of what we do is led by our emotions, right? Our desire for familiarity, our desire for kinship and belonging, our desire for nostalgia, right? And so understanding what those things are before you relocate is going to help you so that when you do relocate, you can experience what the experience is giving you, right? Like, I don't have a nostalgia for fried chicken because it's like, what am I really looking for? Oh, I want to talk to my grandmother, right? All right, so let me sit in these feelings of, let me play some music that my grandmother had, used to play, or let me talk to somebody from my family. Like, let me find a way to get the thing that I'm actually looking for instead of trying to cover it up with something that is not here. Okay. Right. So I don't even know where I got that from, but yeah, it's really about, when you identify what it is that you're looking for, like what you are really looking for, based on the feelings and desires you have, you can meet those needs in a way where you don't then have to talk shit about the place that you live in, which I've seen people do, talk trash about Playa, and it's like, dude, like, that's your own stuff. Like,
right. Okay. So I'm going to stop here. I think it's a good place for a commercial break. So if you don't know, I am hosting Exodus Homecoming this year. Oh, I haven't talked to you about this, Tish. I don't know if you know about this. It's a opportunity for women to hear from women who attended Exodus Summit last year and who have gone into the world since then. They have left the US, they brought their kids with them, moved to Turkey, moved to Mexico, moved around, they're running businesses around the world. We have gathered a number of women who took action last year at the summit and have now are now living their best lives abroad. We're having them come back. We're having them talk to you. We're having them tell you how they did it. But I'm saying this today. I'm doing a commercial break today because there's a weekend pass, which is $15, and an accelerated pass, which is $145, which gets you additional coaching, like group coaching with Stephanie Perry, my co-host. And there's a bonus, a free gift that comes with that package. And today's the last day to buy it. So I can't get through this video without saying, if you're thinking about coming to Exodus Homecoming and you're going to want to be there in the group coaching sessions, because honestly, last year, the women who made the most progress were the ones who upgraded to the second level and got group coaching sessions. Like, they really did the work because they were able to be there, ask questions, get them answered, do all the things. If you want it, don't miss out today, because it's going to be the same price tomorrow, but you don't get a gift. So me, I'm going to tell you, do it now. Do it now.
Get your gift. Quit playing.
Listen, quit. See, Stephanie's in the comments with the gift box because she knows today's the day. Okay. This is telling me I need to plug in, which I thought I was. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. Second apartment. Tell us about the second apartment, which is the one you're moving into now?
The one I'm moving out of.
Okay, so you've had your next apartment will be your.
Oh, I guess it would be 4. I had one apartment for like 2 weeks. I don't know if we count that. Let's not. I mean, okay. But the next one, so the first apartment, I began to, I don't know, just have some struggles with my landlord. It wasn't anything big, but one of the things that I have noticed from living in a beach town is I am very sensitive to annoyances, and I don't do annoyances. I don't care how minor they are, mosquitoes, nothing that feels like a small annoyance. Like, I don't do it. And so I just started having a couple of annoyances with my landlord. Like, here you pay, well, I was paying, like you can go to the local like 7-Eleven and pay your rent. And so something happened with her card where I wasn't able to pay at the 7-Eleven that was literally right next door. I needed to like go to a bank that was like 10 blocks away or 20 blocks away, and I just wasn't digging it. So I was like, you know what? Like, it really wasn't a big deal, in the grand scheme of things. But I decided when I moved to another country that I wasn't going to tolerate bullshit. Like, I don't care how small of it, because bullshit piles up, and I wasn't trying to let nothing pile up. And so I just decided that anything small or minor that felt like it was small or minor, it could grow into something big. And I just wasn't going to allow it in my life anymore. And so I decided, you know what, I'm gonna start looking for another place. Like, I've been here long enough. Like, I kind of got my footing. This was a soft landing spot. It's fine. And so I decided I was going to move on to the other side of the highway, right? Because all of the expats in Playa live in one particular area. And supposedly all the locals were on the other side. So, and things were cheaper.
So you were moving towards the locals?
Yes. Mind you, I was already spending $300. So I think my new rent was like $275. And I was like, oh, bet, I'm doing it. Got over there and I realized that everything that I enjoyed was actually in this neighborhood, which meant I had to take my bike, which isn't a problem ordinarily, but it was like a 20-minute bike ride. And it's hot. Which means I'm waiting until it get dark. But then if it's dark, like, I'm out kicking it or whatever, and then I got to take a 20-minute bike ride. Like, I think about a weekend, I realized that I was staying at the co-working space till like midnight, and I was riding my bike at midnight to the other side of the highway.
Okay.
And it wasn't a danger thing, right? I'm from Southside Chicago. I didn't feel in danger, but I didn't like having to ride my bike. So I was like, all right, this ain't gonna work. And then what I really recognized was the reason that I was staying out till midnight was because I didn't really like the apartment. It was a cool idea. Right. To live, further away from the center of everything, to have even cheaper than $300 a month rent. But I didn't really like it over there. So I found another place, which is, I guess, officially my third place, which is where I am now. And it felt like a step up, right? Like, I had AC now. It was in a nice building. It was 1 block over from the grocery store. It was in the exact same neighborhood, like maybe two and a half blocks over from my first apartment. And it was a whopping $400 a month. So, and it was a 1-bedroom. So I had to step up. So, I mean, let me be clear. You can pay whatever you want to pay living in Playa. Right? Like, we have a friend who I think pays $1,200 US. And, she has a super modern space and, a doorman and all manner of accoutrement, like all the things. I wanted to see, well, first off, I came here on unemployment. So my money was limited when I first got here. And then, you pay $300 a month for a year and a half. Like, you don't really want to pay nothing too much more than that. And just recently, did you want to ask me any questions about that place? That's about why I'm moving.
So that's the place you're in now. I'm losing track.
Yeah, that's where I'm in now.
Describe it to us.
1-bedroom.
It's a 1-bedroom for $400.
It's a 1-bedroom with AC. So I've been having my utilities included for years, so I don't paying like separate stuff. I forget to pay bills, so I know that about myself. Like, I've forgotten to pay an electric bill several times. And so, for the past 10 years or so, I've only lived in all included, everything included type of apartments.
That's so
it's girl. I try to make
like I'm exaggerating, maybe 5 different bills. And I have definitely missed it. And like, I don't know how to pay it because in Mexico, there's a cutoff date and you can't pay it after the cutoff date. And I'm like, well, how am I going to get y'all your money? Like, I haven't been able to pay that bill for 3 months because I missed the day. And what do we do? My landlord at some point will tell me.
I guess. I don't know.
But it's very smart to think about that. If you're not good at paying monthly bills, get an apartment where everything is included.
Plus, I'm telling you, them tiny annoyances. I'm not doing
Yes. I had not thought about that.
So, I mean, it's in a local neighborhood. So my landlord is a woman. She's Mexican. I think she's from the north. I don't think she's from Mexico City. I think she might be from Monterey or something. But she bought an apartment and then built on top. So she like totally built all of this, and it's super cute, you know. And she has cactus growing outside. It's like a beautiful wooden door. Like when you open the door, it's like different apartments inside, so you can't see what's on the inside from the outside.
Okay.
She has plants everywhere. Like my door is painted yellow. Like I loved it. Like as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh yes, I love this space. And I wanted a 1 bedroom. I was moving from a studio, and I wanted my living area separate from where, like I wanted to sleep in a different space. Like I just wanted that separation of church and state in my apartment. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So why are you leaving it?
So the only downside of everyone's cool. Like everybody in the building is cool. Like I love the people I live with. There's no expats in the building. It's mostly women. I think there's one gay guy, and then there's one guy who it's him and his wife or partner, long-term partner. So everybody is cool in the building. We don't hang out, but we cool, you know. The only downside is, and this is a downside and an upside, right? Hurricane season came, and the way the apartment is built, like I live in the building in the back. I have a window, but my window doesn't face out. So when the hurricane came and I was on the second floor, like there was no flooding in my apartment. I didn't have to worry about winds or anything flying into my window because it faces the inside of like these 2 buildings. The downside, so that's great for hurricane season, right? Don't have to worry about any flying debris, windows breaking, none of that. Outside of hurricane season, though, I'm literally facing this wall, the other brick wall, that is my neighbor's apartment. So if he has the shades drawn, which most of the time he does, I'm just looking at white. And I've actually, for past maybe since December, what I recognized, I went in yesterday, I just went to go look. I've been talking about like sprucing up the apartment. I wanted to get plants. I wanted to paint, like something. I just noticed something. And just recently, I've been noticing my motivation is doing this. I don't know, like I'm not always motivated. And I work from home more now than I did in the co-working space. But I was just like, I think I need to be able to see outside. Like looking at this brick wall, I think it's starting to bug me. And so that's why I'm moving. I just found a place where I can, now it is a studio. And actually I saw 2 apartments. I saw 2 that I really liked. One was 900 US, a brand new building, rooftop pool, absolutely gorgeous. Lots of storage space. And the other was 500 US. Mm-hmm. More modern, rooftop pool. I can see the ocean. And that's what I realized I need. Like living in a beach town, I'm one of those people that I recognize I had in my life low standards, right? Like my standards weren't really low, high in terms of, there were some things like humans, I have higher standards for humans. But for my apartment, I realized that I wasn't really requiring that much. Like I said, the good part is I came here like, what does Mexico have to offer? How low can I go? Like, what's the cheapest rent? But now, since I've been here a while, I realized that, hey, let's take advantage of more of what it has to offer, right? Like I live in a beach town. The ocean is right there. You should see the ocean. Like you should be able to see it. I mean, I don't have to have an oceanfront apartment, but it would be nice to see it. Most of the newer buildings have pools. I mean, I'm taking swim lessons now. I don't need to be able to swim laps, but you should have a pool. So now I'm at a different place where it's like taking advantage of what this experience has to offer is allowing me to do something different. So I'm definitely moving into let me say this, I'm moving into the $500 apartment because 900, even though it's not a stretch, I mean, it's not a whole lot in US standards.
Yeah, but
I feel like I want to grow into it. Like, I feel like I'm growing and I want to continue growing. Like, one of my mentors says all the time, grow into it, don't go into it. Right. And so my growing into it looks like I can take a baby step. Right. Like, I don't have to go balls to the wall and get this, super. I don't have to, like, because then it's going to stress me out. Like, right now, my rent is reasonable and it's still what, I don't know, one of these financial people say your rent should be like under 33% of your income or something. I've been shooting for 25 for like years. So, my rent feels like I'm not worried. I'm still not worried about making it, and I like that feeling. Like, this is a beach town and I recognize this goes real well with how I like to flow through life.
Mm-hmm.
I like this flowing feeling. At $500 a month, that feels like a flow,
Yes.
So I'm like, well, let's keep flowing in. It's got an elevator. It's nice,
Nice. Are the rents in Playa going up as more people are coming down?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, so here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Right. The irony is this apartment that I'm moving into, I actually went to go see maybe last year sometime, and it was 500 then too. Okay. So I don't know.
All right. I just know that a lot of expats are headed down that way. And
yes. So here's the other piece is to be on the lookout for. So high season, when the prices go up higher, is coming, and that's usually when expats start moving down here. So that's October until about March or April. That's
people come down for the winter.
Fall and spring. Yep. Okay,
fall, spring.
Fall, right. Winter into spring.
Okay. So new construction, pool on the roof.
Yeah.
Newer construction, pool on the roof, elevator.
And I can see the ocean
from the roof. The ocean.
And actually some from my window too.
For $500 a month.
Yeah.
Did y'all hear that?
Everything included. I might have to pay lights. I don't know. I need to double check that.
Did y'all hear that? And like I said before, and you just touched on, if you can have an easier life by relocating,
yeah,
and it's not going to make you unhappy. Like, I don't want people going to wherever the rents are lowest in the world and ending up in a place they don't like. But if there's a place you're interested in and you can live there and live an easier life than you're living right now, with less stress, less heartache, less tension, do it.
At least try it. Just test it out.
Yeah.
Test it out. Because most of us don't even know what it feels like to not be stressed. Oof. And there's a process for that, right? Like, hella stressed, not stressed, and I don't know what to do with myself. And then once you can get past that, I don't know what to do with myself, that anxiety from the stressful experience that you already had, then, that's where the piece is on the other side of that. But you got to get through that recovery. Yes. That recovery.
Yes. Kayla wants to know if you have a church home in Playa.
Girl, no. Church is me and God. Church is right here. This is the church.
Okay.
Listen, that's why they don't let me talk to people, because I be saying some crazy stuff.
But that's why I knew you would keep it real with us, which is why I was like, a great guest.
But you go to church online. Are people even in church still? I don't even know if churches. That has been the best part of the pandemic. All the past 10 years, I've been trying to get people online with their classes, everybody. I'm like, yes, finally, everybody's I can take a dance class online.
Listen, helping with accessibility, helping people who need to stay home, take care of people.
Seriously.
Listen. Okay. No church, but what is a day in your life like?
So I'm working on a typical day. Like, most of my days are different, but I'm trying to settle that, get that a little bit. So I usually go walk in the morning. I work remote, and I've been starting work at 10 a.m. since they hired me. So I'll usually wake up between 6:30 and 7. Like, I like to ease into my mornings. I may write, journal, take a walk, listen to an audiobook, or ride my bike and listen to, Jill Scott on my little speaker, ride through the city, just singing and having a good time, sweat a little bit. Come back to the house, take a shower, start my work day. My job is really flexible. And so, I whatever meetings, whatever leftover messages, I have I'll check those. Again, my job is really, really flexible. I'm super grateful for that. So, I get up, go to lunch, um, do whatever I need to do during the day. Check in, make sure, ain't nobody looking for me. Keep my calendar up so that I have meetings throughout the day. Again, I'm really big on building community. So I typically have at least 1 to 2 people who I'm checking in with in terms of just accountability. Hey, what's going on? Let's talk about life. Let's talk about business. And then once the day is done, I go to dinner, may ride my bike, take a walk to, a restaurant, go hang out with a couple of friends or something. But it's real chill.
Okay.
And if I have time, I'll come back and I'll read before I go to bed. Of course, somewhere in there, some time on social media, playing a game on my phone, real chill. Just recently, I've started walking along the beach at night, which is nice.
Nice. I talked to Libria Jones last week about getting remote work. It was a really interesting conversation. Everyone here loved it. Now you got your remote job back in 2018, right?
I did.
Before remote was real. I mean, remote work has always kind of been here in some sense, but before it got as hot as it is right now, you've been working remotely for years, and you've worked remotely from Mexico. You've worked remotely from Thailand.
Yeah, same company.
Bali. Yes. What did you say? Bali as well?
Yeah, I was working the whole time. That was the game changer.
Those were your 3 dream, potential places, and you lived and worked remotely in all of them.
Yes, I have.
Okay. So I already know the answer to this question, but I'm gonna ask everybody else. What was the difference between working remotely in Mexico and working remotely in Bali and Thailand?
That freaking time difference, yo. That time difference is, oh, geez, Louise.
So I'm gonna pause real quick. Natisha and I were in Thailand at the same time. And I would be like, let's go. And she would be like, girl, I got to go to work.
Right, at 7 o'clock at night. That was the worst. People hanging out. The sun that went down is good, and I'm like, oh, I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
That was the worst. That was the absolute worst. You can't go to dinner. That's where community is built, around meals. Dinner?
So if you had a job that didn't require you to be online during American hours, do you think that you would have been more likely to stay in Bali or Thailand?
Nah. Okay. Those places were nice, but they were way too far outside of my realm of understanding. Mexico is closer to American culture. And again, I'm all for new experiences, but I get to choose how overwhelmed I am in my day-to-day. Love Thailand, loved Bali. But not being able to read the street signs, it's not, that ain't cool for me. I felt like I was living in somebody else's world. And no, I need to feel like I belong where I am. So not being able to read the street signs, that was not cool. Being so far away from home, my family is getting older. And so ironically, I go home now more living in Mexico than I've lived all over the country. I haven't lived in Chicago since 2010. And so I used to go home once a year. Now I'm back home 2, 3, 4 times a year. So that, my core values are freedom and flexibility, right? So having the freedom to come back and forth and the flexibility to move like I want to move, like I didn't have that the way that I do here, even though I still, let me be clear, there are aspects of Black culture that I didn't even recognize that I thoroughly enjoy, like listening to Black music, going to Black restaurants, going to Black concerts. Like my aunt was like, hey, Martin is touring, you want to come see Martin? You know what I mean? Like if I was in Asia, not to say that those things wouldn't happen, but there's no way I'd be able to fly home and go hang out with my aunt.
Right.
So it's way more flexible. And, personally, I feel more free in Mexico. Again, because I was at least familiar with the language.
Yes.
And then being back here, I'm taking Spanish classes. I've spent a lot of time in the restaurants. So my Spanish has improved, so what I recognized in Bali and Thailand was that I did not want to learn the language. And I recognize that about myself.
So I say that all the time about Thailand. Thailand was the end of my 1 year around the world. So I had been to a number of different countries. And I realized that if a language wasn't spoken in more than one country, I was not interested. And we talked about this. I remember we were shopping. We were in a store, in a mall.
That is true.
Talking about this. And and I was like, I can't even say hello in Thai. First of all, I'm sorry.
That's all I got.
I ain't got it. And I realized that for me, that meant that I couldn't live there because I could not look myself in the mirror every day in a country where I was like, y'all do what y'all gonna do. I'm gonna be over here speaking nothing but English. And I was like, that's why I knew Thailand wasn't for me. I was tired of learning languages and my brain wasn't, even hello, my brain was like, rejected. I'm
like, that's all I got though. I'm not gonna remember none of this other stuff. And it felt really white to me. And I don't know, I don't know if I could say that. I already said it, so sorry if I can't. But, I didn't want to go to a place where I didn't want to speak. It's one thing to not know the language, but to not even want to learn.
I did not want to learn.
That don't feel good to that. Feel, not to live there, as a visitor, of course,
Yes.
But to live in a place and not want to learn the language. No, I felt like an outsider and I was actually okay with it. I was like, I think I'm probably supposed to be an outsider. This is a place I'm supposed to visit and then go back to Mexico.
And we were in Chiang Mai, and Chiang Mai has
love Chiang Mai
Black community, strong in comparison to a lot of other cities. It has a lot of Black people who enjoy being there, and I enjoyed my time there. But I quickly knew it wasn't for me. I think I was there for 3 months. I was there for 3 months and cannot say hello. I knew it wasn't for me long term. I knew I was like, I am enjoying the time. I'm getting around, but I'm not.
Yeah, that impacts your experience greatly too. Right? Community is important, but then also some form of independent. Let's be interdependent. Let's, lean on each other. And can I move around by myself? Or am I always dependent on someone who speaks the language? And I see that in Mexico and here in Playa too. Playa is a big, thank you, Ron. Playa is a big tourist space. And there are people who come here and refuse to learn, refuse to try, and I understand that a lot of that is based on your nervous system, your ability to self-regulate, to calm yourself down, to get in a space of comfort and make it comfortable for you to try and fail multiple times at speaking a language. I get all of that. And what are we here to move past that?
So one of the things about Mexico, so Mexico City doesn't speak as much English as the beach city. So there's more English spoken in Playa than in Mexico City. But I find that in most of the places I go to, I can speak a little bit of Spanish, and the people I speak to can frequently speak just a tiny bit of English. And even if they can't, they're still patient with me and willing to work through the language barrier.
Yeah.
In Thailand, I don't think I felt the same patience. I think it was like, I don't speak any English, right? And so this transaction just isn't going to happen. Whatever you want is not going to happen because you don't speak Thai, I don't speak English, so goodbye, is what it felt like a lot of the time.
Okay.
Whereas this has been a softer landing for me because I feel like people are willing to sit there and watch me as I struggle through my poor Spanish, right? Even if they have no English at all, which I don't expect them to have, they're patient with me as I'm like I asked the security guards down here once about the water from the sky because I couldn't remember the name for word. The other day I was looking for size 38 shoes and the number wasn't coming to my head. So I was like 40 minus 2. And everyone is just like, oh, okay. Like this is sure. Right.
That's the learning.
Fine. I'm going
to use the words you know.
I use the words I know. And I'm sure it's not everyone, but in my impression is that the majority of the people I come in contact with are like, okay, what you got? Let's do this. You know what I mean? Like, and it's patient, it's understanding. And more times than I actually like, it's apologetic for not speaking more English. And I'm like, I'm in your country.
Right.
Like, you don't have to speak any English.
One of the things, and I try not to go here a lot because I don't spend a lot of time talking about spirituality and metaphysics and all of, law of attraction, because those are such buzzwords. I hate buzzwords. Like that's a language I just try to avoid. However, one of the things that I've noticed about my experience is that I get a lot of what I expect. And as I'm hearing you talk about how people are kind and they're patient, the irony is the more of those experiences that you have where people are kind and patient, the more you grow to expect kindness and patience. And then it's like a ripple effect. And then you get more. It's like you have them, you expect, and then you get what you expected. You have them. And so, I don't know if we talk about that much. I know I don't, because I feel like that conversation always brings out the chakra people. And I like the chakra people. Like, don't get me wrong, but can we speak English? Like, so yeah,
this idea. I keep Tish close, y'all. If you didn't know,
I like it.
You're not going to go to dinner with her and not have a moment like this right here. This is why I keep her. Can we just speak English?
Just if you speak English and I speak English, can we speak like real?
Not chakras. Okay.
I mean, and again, let me be clear. I like chakras too. Mm-hmm. And I just want you to understand how they actually operate in the language that we were both raised to speak. Like, what does that mean? Like, I can't talk to my mama or my grandmama about chakras.
Right.
So talk to me like you would talk to your mama or your grandma.
Make it accessible. Like,
you know what I'm saying? That part.
Buzzwords.
That part.
Okay. All right. So. Someone wants to know if you've used the Selena co-working space in Playa.
Not the co-working space. I have been there. So the cool thing about Playa, all the co-working spaces are connected. Pre-pandemic, they would have bar crawls, co-working crawls.
Okay.
And so they would like drink and go from one to the next. So I've been to Selena. Again, I'm real big on ease. And Selena was far. Like, I'm not going far. I mean, and let me be clear. If we were in the city, like if we were somewhere, in the States, it's like, girl, you tripping. Like, but I'm not in the States. And there's a co-working space 3 blocks from me. Why am I going 30 blocks?
Okay. That's fine.
So yeah, I've been there, but I don't know much about it.
Is your new apartment close to the co-working space you're in now?
Yes, it is actually. Now I don't come here as often now, but it is, I mean, it's a little bit further away. It's like right now in my current place, I might be 4 blocks away. So I might be 10 blocks away at the new place.
All right. And how much do you pay per month for the co-working space?
You can. So they have daily, monthly. You can do a weekly pass. What I do now is I pay for a group of days. Like I'll pay for like 5 days. And then every time that I need to come, it'll count against one of those days.
Okay. Could you mind telling us how much that is for 5 days?
You want me to go get the thing?
No.
I think I might pay $50. I don't know.
Okay, so like $10
I just
a
give them
day.
the money.
Okay.
I think so.
US dollars. So you're paying about $10 a day to use it. You think?
I think I can't. Don't quote me.
It's fine.
Don't come in here and say Natisha said.
We haven't even said the name of the co-working space.
Oh,
on
that's
live,
true.
So
That's
people
true.
don't have to come to you if they
That's
want
true.
it. I
true.
linked to her
Do we
IG
want to?
post. I think it was right, but y'all, I don't type and talk at the same time. So if it wasn't,
oh yeah, Coach Tish. Yeah, that's me.
Now Instagram is a good place to find you, but you also have a website.
I do.
You are an entrepreneur.
I am.
And you run your own business.
I do.
Which we should talk about. Tell me about your business.
Let's talk about it. So my focus is on imposter syndrome. And so I work with coaches and leaders who coach, helping them to get free from imposter syndrome so they can walk fearlessly into the calling on their lives.
Okay. Now I saw on your IG that you label yourself an imposter freedom coach.
Yes, let's get free.
All right. So not imposter syndrome.
Freedom. Because we're going to focus on the thing that we actually desire.
Okay. So we're not focusing on the negative. We're focusing on where we're
going. Absolutely.
Okay. So
eye on the prize.
I know you've run workshops for imposter syndrome. What imposter syndrome is, for me, I feel like it's one of those things that I barely understand.
Yeah.
So can you talk to us a little bit about what it is and the work that you do with people?
Sure. So imposter syndrome itself is like this consistent belief that you either don't belong, that you don't deserve, or that you aren't good enough for what you have, what you've been given. And it impacts Black people the most, Black women even more than that. And if you've gone to school with, work with, live around people of Caucasian descent, you better believe that you have experienced it, and may even be currently experiencing it. So it shows up in perfectionism. It shows up in overworking. It shows up in not asking for help. It shows up in the expectation that the first time you do something, you should be absolutely awesome at it. It shows up in a variety of ways, but the root is this idea that I don't necessarily belong. And there's something wrong with me, right? It's not necessarily something wrong with this environment, but there's something wrong with me internally. And so most people who talk about imposter syndrome, they focus on one aspect, which is like your thoughts. I'm, amongst a lot of other things, I went to massage school. I've been trained in trauma. I work for a psychology-based app. And so I'm very clear that there is a mind component. There is also a body component, right? So these feelings of belonging and that, you don't belong in a space actually exist within your physical body as well as your physiological body, right? Like there's an aspect of your brain, the vagus nerve that's connected to your brain and all the way to your gut. And so when you are in an experience where your throat closes up, your palms start sweating, your gut start doing this thing, it's that vagus nerve that is there's an experience that is happening in your body that is probably outside of your conscious understanding. And so a lot of the work that I do is about helping you to get present to the fact that that's what's happening, and then doing both physiological exercises as well as psychological exercises. So I try to do both mind, body, and then there's a bit of spiritual stuff in there as well.
Okay. And you have led workshops about this.
I have. It's called the Imposter Freedom Workshop, what I like to call Free in 4. And so I help you to create a 4-step process where you can basically get free and stay free if you continue to practice, because that's basically what it is. It becomes a practice as opposed to, a light switch, because you're going
one and
to.
done.
No, it's not. I wish it was, but no, it don't work like
Okay.
that.
Now, Ludell said it sounds a little like anxiety. How do
Absolutely.
anxiety and imposter syndrome work together?
So I like to call it achievers anxiety, right? Because it's typically, it is like it impacts your body the same way. But it usually has something to do with some work that you're called to do or desire to do.
Okay.
So it typically shows up in your career, right? Like, especially for people, like I said, things that you are being called to do. Um, and so you just want to be clear that what it is when it shows up. Because most of the time we just move through. We just, act as if it doesn't exist.
Okay.
Or we push through. I often hear us talk, well, just push through it. Like,
That's true. Get to the other
and what
side.
you push through, but you didn't develop a skill set. You didn't develop a practice. And so now it's just going to get bigger. It's literally something that you are ignoring or avoiding, dealing with or facing. And so it's going to get bigger. It doesn't go away, right? It's like your calling gets bigger. So if you don't figure out how to work with it, flow with it, you're going to continue facing the same thing, and eventually your nervous system is going to shut down and you're just not going to be able to do anything. So before we get to that point, can we do something about it
Okay.
possibly?
Okay. And you've been doing this work for how long?
So I've been doing coaching since 2014. I started focusing on imposter syndrome last year, actually, right before I started a new job, a new role in my current company.
Okay. Um, but you've been an entrepreneur for way longer than that.
Yeah, I started doing so. I've done a few things. That's what I was talking about. I studied the body. So I went to massage school. I think that was my first business. I was doing massage for local entrepreneurs in Baltimore. And so that was a lot of fun. But I realized that if I wanted to do things for people outside of my local community, I needed something different. And that's what got me into studying internet marketing and how that works. And how can I support people who may not necessarily be where I live? And how can I support them in a way where I don't have to touch them? And so that is kind of what led me into coaching and understanding coaching. And I started working in, life coaching first. I didn't want to, but I realized that, I discovered some things just through my own journey that people weren't talking about, right? Like this idea around focusing on your emotions. And I began to recognize how important your feelings were, not just in how you move through life, but as I talked to entrepreneurs, at least the most successful ones, their feelings were vital, right? But what I noticed about people like me who were first generation entrepreneurs, first in their family to maybe do things online, right? Because the internet's not that old. But I began to notice that even though we may have been successful in other aspects of our lives, we disconnected from our feelings. You stuff them, you ignore them, you push through them, you don't talk about them. And I began to see that a lot of what we were seeking required us to reconnect with ourselves. Like that was, literally like us cutting off one arm and trying to operate through life as if we had to. So imposter syndrome began to come up because I wanted to focus on, I heard in my spirit that I was supposed to help people who help people. And I was like, well, who are those people? Right. And I began to notice that they were leaders, people who were being called to something greater and who wanted to go to their next level. And who were leaders in their families, in their communities already. People already looked to them as if they were the best thing since sliced bread. But I saw, first I started teaching leaders marketing because I'd invested so much money in marketing. myself, and I loved it, and I understood how things worked. But I began to, I couldn't, something wasn't clicking, right? Like, even though I would talk about marketing, they wouldn't necessarily take action. And then I began to see um, that a lot of the things that I myself knew, I didn't take action on. Right. So I began to see like this parallel between what I was doing and what the people that I was supporting were doing. And last year, I discovered, right, this concept of imposter syndrome just through having a conversation with someone, because I wanted to talk about fear. But I recognized this person, a close friend, she said, as I asked her, I was like, would you, if I wanted to talk to you about fear, would you talk about it? And she's like, no. I said, well, what about imposter syndrome? And what I recognize is those two things are actually connected. It's just that one, we are more comfortable with and more familiar with, and the other we're still learning about. But those two things are synonymous. They're almost the same, right? Fear, anxiety. And then I began to see how it is connected to literally everything that I've been doing, and everything that I personally was experiencing, right? This fear of going live, right? This fear that I needed to um, be perfect every time I open my mouth. This anxiety around making sure that everything hit, the first time I did it. Like, the more that I learned about imposter syndrome, I learned that, oh, this is something that I have been experiencing, but I had never put words to it before, right? There was no one Black. There was no one from, my type of neighborhood. There was no one from my background who was talking about this. And that's a large part what I think kept me from identifying with it, because I didn't see anybody like me.
Okay. All right. Now, shifting gears a bit, because you've run your business abroad for 3 years, I want to know what advice you would have for entrepreneurs who are trying to build their business outside of the US.
Um, so my focus is on Black women in America, because that's where I come from.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think number one, you want to join communities, right? And whether I try to make sure that I do this like 2, 3 for one type deal, right? So I try to join communities where I can learn something, where I can learn something as it relates to my business, directly or indirectly, as well as, join communities where there are people who are doing similar things to what I'm doing. Right. So, like, one of my favorite programs is actually all about building community, ironically. Right. Go figure. But the reason that it's one of my favorite communities is because it has people from all over the world in there. Like, when I was in Bali, I just posted in there and somebody also was in Bali. So I met up with her.
Oh,
right. Like, you want to join things that, exposes you to people who are outside of like where you are. I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to growing a business. The next thing that I think is so important, like, I was always under this impression that I had to quit my job, right? Like, that was always the goal. Quit your job, quit your job. Like, I used to talk about tell other people to quit their job. But I'm damn near 40, and I recognize that's not realistic, right? Like I said, my mentor would say all the time, grow into it, don't go into it. And I'm finally recognizing that I can have a job that is aligned with my mission and my purpose, and that allows me enough mental and emotional space to do the additional work outside of that, right? Like, I can have a job that doesn't take over my life, and that pays me every 2 weeks. Like, I can do both of these things. I can have a job that allows me to build my skill set, right? Like, I work for a startup in a capacity where where I'm called to coach leaders in my day job. And then I use those same skills outside. Like, I never heard of that before. Like, you can have first of all, you can not have to begrudgingly work 40 hours a week. Like, really? Didn't even know that was a possibility. But then even outside of that, the work that I am doing is work that's directly related. Like, I've done my Imposter Freedom workshop at work. It's now a continuing education unit.
Okay, so you've taught it for people
at work.
Not that you were doing it on the side while you're supposed to be working. You taught it to your people at work.
Yes. Okay. I work for a coaching company we have over 3,000 coaches on our team. And it's now a continuing education unit for the health coaches. So it's like, and like doing it in that capacity these two things what I do outside of work, like all of that studying on marketing and how marketing works directly impacts working online. If you don't know how to build relationships, if you can't go into a Facebook group, you're not going to be able to do the same thing in a Slack channel. Slack right. Being, it's literally the same thing. And I see people struggle at work with building relationships because they never did it. It's like, if you're going to work online, Facebook is a perfect practice playground for doing those same things. Can you build relationships with people? Can you reach out to people one-on-one? Can you comment? Can you validate? Like, these are terms that I don't think within my community, and I feel like I got a lot of degrees, but I didn't know this stuff, right? Like, validation, what does that mean? Like, how do you validate someone in a conversation? Like, how do you, it's literally about, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Like, I totally understand where you're coming from. Super simple, but it makes a world of difference in the online environment. So what I found is there's a lot of overlap in terms of this online environment and this online environment that you seek to work in. It's the same. It's the world. It's the world we live in now. So,
okay. This is going to be actually, I do want to touch on this. So imposter syndrome is often a feeling we feel, like Jive Canary mentions, but we don't know that it's something that other people feel too.
Yeah.
Right? And so hearing you talk about it is helpful. I've heard you talk about it for a while now, but hearing you talk about it is helpful because it helps me feel less alone, right?
Yeah.
And it helps me when I'm having those moments when it kicks in. It's a good reminder that it's just my lizard brain doing what my lizard brain does, right? It's not who I am. It's just how I feel in this moment.
Correct.
And so that's really helpful.
Correct. And it takes a part, and Seth Godin calls it the lizard brain. I love that. That's the oldest part of the brain, right? That's actually connected to that nerve. Mm-hmm. But it takes creating a practice, a simple practice where you can remind yourself. And a huge part of that practice is staying in community with people who remind you of who you actually are. Not just, girl, don't you know, right? Like, that's one of them, right? But then also having people who can ask you questions and walk you through the process. And let's actually say these things out loud. Because most of what we do, what we experience, we keep to ourselves because that's just what we've always done. But when we were ready to go to the next level, it's going to require that we take ourselves to the next level, right? And oftentimes that next level looks like speaking to it. Like, let's actually have a conversation about this. Like, let's actually talk about what I'm feeling and where is the root of it and what's aggravating it. And, let's talk about it. And not just with the therapist. Therapist is great, don't get me wrong, but you need community. You need people who you don't need an appointment to talk to, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you need both of those things. And I think it doesn't have to be all this or none of that, right? You can have both of those things.
Okay. So I linked to your workshop on imposter syndrome already. Are you hosting any live ones in the future?
Possibly. So what happens if you register for the Imposter Freedom Workshop? I invite you to the Imposter Freedom Academy, where we get together 3 times a month, and we don't just talk about imposter freedom, but we talk about the actual strategies that we're creating. We're talking about the different ways that it comes up, how it's showing up for each of us, because it shows up, it rears its head in different ways. And then I bring in some guest instructors, and we do all manner of both psychology as well as body-based activities to help you feel free in your body as well as in your mind. So that's where you can get me live, but you have to take through the workshop first. So in terms of the next live workshop, I'm not doing a live workshop yet, but
the one that I linked to in the comments, and I'm putting up on the screen right now, is one you did live, but you have it recorded. So it's
correct, and it's good. It's good.
It's good.
Okay. So it's broken out, and I've got worksheets and activities, because everybody I know that it's a process getting to a place where you work with other people. So I like to give people both, right? An opportunity to do the work on your own, and then an opportunity to join us in community as well.
All right. Well, y'all know me. So you know what's going to happen next. We're doing a giveaway. Tish doesn't know this either. I'd be surprising my guests. Like, hey,
let's go.
Okay. So if you want, I'm giving away one. Just like last week, if you want me to give away more than one, start throwing some change in the bucket and we'll give away more than one. But right now I am sponsoring one person to take Tish's workshop. So to win this, let me hide this real quick. To win the workshop, send me a message on IG, but the message has to be just one yellow heart. Message me one yellow heart on Instagram. The first person to do it wins a workshop.
I love it. Come on, yellow heart. Let's go. If
you want me to give away more than one, we did this last week with the remote jobs. If you want to give away more than one, we donate to the community here. So go ahead and do that. If not, one person working on freeing themselves from imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
If that's where we end this. We have done a lot of work today. And so we're going to do that. There's also another giveaway coming up later, but we're not going to talk about that right now. It's not for the workshop though. This is the only giveaway for the workshop. So workshop.
Come on, yellow heart. Let's go, yellow hearts. Let's go.
I guess I should be checking my messages now. Give me a minute. Okay, so while I'm checking my messages, I wanted to check in with you, Tish, about the remote. So you just talked about how your job facilitates your side hustle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have enough yellow hearts. If you haven't messaged me already, do not do it, because I got to figure out who came first. Okay. And so it looks like it's Regina Rules.
All right.
Regina.
Hey, Regina.
Send me your email address and it's yours.
So excited. Thank you so much. Welcome to our Imposter Freedom community, Regina. We call ourselves Freedom Leaders. Let's get free. Come on.
Freedom Leaders?
Yes. Okay. Let's go.
Okay. Ooh, Lisa just signed up for the workshop.
Oh, welcome, Lisa.
NYC
I know Lisa. Lisa here in Playa. Hey, now.
NYC Unlimited, there's I don't even know how to describe it right now. Adelia, if you're still here, can you explain in the comments how to donate? Because there's like a button. There's a something you type. I'm not on that page, and so I don't know how to describe how to do it. But there's like a give money button. If you press the give money button on YouTube, that's how you donate. So if you guys donate, it's $37 for the workshop.
It is.
So if you donate $37, if the squad today donates $37, YouTube going to take a cut of that, but we don't care. We're not talking about that. If you donate $37, we give away another one, and we have until the end of whenever we end this. Yes, Grace, the super chat icon. Girl, I was like, you guys always come through. Always come through, and I appreciate it.
I love it.
Okay. Your job helps facilitate your business in a lot of ways.
A lot of ways.
That is not something you'll hear a lot of people say. So I want to talk about you, how you got a job that helps facilitate your business, and whether you were intentional about it or if the universe just sent it your way.
Girl, bad. That's the other thing. Don't be talking about the universe sitting on your damn way. You did the work. Now identify the steps.
Okay.
Listen, that's them and the chakra people all together. Listen, the universe do some shit, but the universe do, meet you halfway when you do your part. And I did my part. So my part was, I worked for a coaching company, right? And that was intentional. When I came to Mexico, my intention, I've always wanted to run a coaching company. I love coaching, but my intention was that I wanted to train coaches so that we could free the world together. Like we would basically be an army and we would go out here and we would coach the world, right? In the current coaching industry, there aren't a lot of people who will show you how to run a coaching company. They will show you how to become a successful coach. They will show you how to build a coaching practice. But building a coaching company isn't necessarily something that's talked about. So after being here 6 months, I had all of my plans drafted. I knew what I wanted to do. And I knew that this coaching company, because what I really do, I love is leadership development. And I knew that developing leaders on a long-term experience, the only way that the best way for me to do that would be people who have committed to working alongside me. And so I went on the lookout for a coaching company. Now, again, in the coaching industry, the only coaches are people who their face and their name is the front. So that's what I did, right? So I started applying. First off, I started looking for jobs where I could do something similar to coaching, because that's what I did. I was an academic advisor for 7.5 years. So that's where like the bulk of my career was in academic advising, which was a lot like coaching, a lot of overlap. So I started looking for coaching companies to apply to. At the same time, again, I'm all about that 2-for-1. I don't do anything that only does one thing. It's like when I started using Dr. Bronner's, I'm like, okay, I can wash my hair, wash my body, brush my teeth, use my clothes. Cool, this is good. So I try to operate my life in that way. So if there's one thing that I'm doing, it needs to hit multiple goals. So I applied for a coaching company that I did not get. Thank God I did not get it. But the reason that I applied for it was because it was someone that I had got introduced to by way of a community that I was a part of, a free Facebook community. I was, at the time, I remember applying for it, and I remember making a Facebook post about it. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I remember posting that, I was going to have to my success, I wasn't going to be able to take the elevator. I was going to have to take the stairs. And when I did not get that job, maybe a month later, I was in the Facebook group of my alumni association. So let me be clear. I was in a coaching program. Part B of my relocate, like let me get out of the country plan, 6 months of unemployment. Plan B, the second part, was I'm gonna register for a class and I'm gonna get a refund check. And I'm gonna use that refund check to live on. And so when unemployment ran out, we enter plan B. And so I got enrolled in a graduate level coaching, a master's of health coaching program. And in the Facebook group for those students, they began to post about this company that was hiring coaches.
Okay.
And so that's what I did. I applied for the company and I got it.
Okay.
So I think a big part of having a position or like having, I knew that I wanted to do coaching. I knew coaching and training coaches. That is my destiny. That's where I'm headed. I'm super clear about that. I had the plans and all of that. And so now I'm working for a company that is literally doing all the things that I desire to do, but on a much larger, huge, like crazy, out of this world scale, way bigger than anything I could ever imagine. And I think those two things, right? So having a clear vision about where I'm headed, and then also being clear with what road will get me there. What do I need in order to get me there? And then aligning myself with a company that will, basically on the train, straight shot. You know what I'm saying? Take me where I'm going. So that's, when we talk about careers and, entrepreneurship, we don't necessarily talk about destiny a lot. Most people talk about money, which is fine, but that wasn't my focus. And so what I found is I've gotten so much more than money,
Right.
as a result.
Right. You started coaching customers, right? That's right. When you started in your coaching role, you were coaching the company customers.
Coaching users, users of the app.
Yes. And now you're coaching the
leaders. Yeah. And I'm on the training team too. So, so I'm doing the things that I intended to do. And what I recognize is, even though I'm still building my company, I like being on a team. I like being a part of a larger movement that's doing something greater than what I'm doing, but also where I can find my space and include myself in what's happening. My desire has always been to support Black women, and I do that at my, at my job. That's the irony. Like for me, there is no separation. So it's so crazy, but literally everything that I do to further my role, my business outside of work, it also furthers my my career inside work. So I'm now a diversity manager. That's my official title, diversity manager. And so it just blows my mind how, I've manifested this perfect role. But I followed my intuition. I followed my feel good sense. So I followed what felt good. And now I'm in a position where everything that I've done that felt good is what I'm calling on in this role. And I'm being able to live the life that I desire. It's the wildest thing.
It's amazing. That's amazing. Now, when you were stepping into this new role, was it something did you have any part in the creation of it? Like, did you know you wanted it before you knew it existed, or you saw it one day?
No. How about I didn't even apply?
What?
Didn't even apply.
What?
Like, this is the kind of, and that's, I guess when people talk about manifesting and the universe doing that's the kind of stuff they're talking about. But I did everything before that, right? Mm-hmm. Like, every conversation that I showed up in, because my destiny is for me to train and coach leaders, right? Every conversation that I was invited to, that was the role I took. So every opportunity, like I even volunteered at work, right? There's committees at work. So I made sure that I volunteered on the committees that were in line with my destiny. Oh, we're creating a coach certification program. Let me get up in there.
Okay.
Oh, we can teach. Can I teach a class? Oh, cool. So I'm now on the faculty of our coach certification program. Oh, people can teach continuing education units. Can I do one? Oh, okay. I can. So I'm building relationships and I'm doing the work I've been called to do, no matter where I am.
Okay.
Even at my day job. So then when it became it's like they created it for me, right? They're like, hey, we have a role that we want someone to focus on how basically user experience and branding. There's going to be a branding component. You mean all this money I didn't invest in learning internet marketing?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all want me to? So people talk about it on this side of the house. You got people talk about manifesting and all of this. On my side of the house, we talk about doing the things that are in line with where you want to go, and only doing those things. I'm not like, there's so many opportunities for people to volunteer, but I'm not saying volunteer your heart out. I'm saying do the things that, again, that 2, 3 for 1. If this is something you want to do outside of work, volunteer, get the skill set here, practice your skill set, and then do those same things outside of work. Do them here and then do them there. Do them here and then do them there. And then keep as much as possible aligning what you're doing for money to what you have been called to do. And then, because there's going to be things that are outside of your control, but you've got to control what you can control. And I think that's where most of us fall short. We try to control things that are outside of our control and ignore the things that are immediately within our control. And it's like, you got to switch those.
Okay. Like I have watched this develop from you from like from the first time you got the job to
So
the new role. And it's just wild.
This is a third role now, I think. Yeah.
Sorry?
I think this is a third role. So I came in as a coach, moved over to coordinator, and now I'm manager.
Yes.
It's mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing to see you in a job that is so aligned with your purpose and such a building block of your life, and you're doing it remotely. You're doing it in a city you love. You're doing it in a city you can afford. Like all of these things have come to fruition. Yeah. And I want to know if you think some of that has to do with leaving the US.
I think it has to do with following my intuitive guidance.
Okay.
Right? Like even we go back to how I got to Playa. I didn't even know anything. I had never been here. But what? I saw it on somebody's shirt. Like in any other scenario, it's like, girl, you crazy. But 3 years later, like I wouldn't tell anybody that 3 years ago. But now 3 years later, like here I am. I came with the plan of, I got 6 months of unemployment. I'm gonna register for a class. I registered for the class, and in the Facebook group of the other students is where they talked about this company. Like if I hadn't, it's like one step required the step before it. So if I had not left the United States, I would not have known that any of this other stuff was possible. Right? Living in the States, making, I don't know, my last job in the States, I think I was making like 60, 65K. My rent was like 900 US. Like, and I knew a guy, Yusef, I don't know if you knew him, but I remember launching my first program and I told him, I'm making about $1,000 a month. He's like, oh, come Brazil, like you'll be good. And I couldn't wrap my mind around, I'm like, no. $1,000 a month, that's bare minimum. Like I can't, I'm not leaving with that. Right. But having that conversation sparked the reminder that, oh, I'm not just here to be here. I'm actually here to go to somewhere else. So it's like, if I hadn't had that conversation with Yusef, I would not have remembered that I don't need as much money as I thought I did. Right. So that was the reminder that, oh, people are making it on $1,000 a month. Okay, so let me do 2,000 then. Right. Okay. So that was that reminder. The fact that I had unemployment coming, it was like, okay, this is $1,500 a month. Yusef said I only need like 1,000. Okay, cool. I could probably make it in another place. So this is, but it was like literally every step wasn't revealed until I took the step before it. So it's like, you're not going to know it all. I didn't know it all, but I had to take one step. And then that one step led to the next. But it was very much so about what felt good. I did what felt good and tried not to do any of the things that didn't.
I mean, that's really important. That people are in the comments are talking about alignment, but yes, that like when you're doing the things that feel good and are good, right? Not just feel good, but actually are good for you. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything kind of clicks.
Yeah.
The things start to click more.
Yeah. They
Okay.
start to fall in place one by
Yes.
one. But you got to take the one, you got to do the one. And that one is scary, yo. Like it started, I mean, I went to this style started because I went to a trip I went on a trip with my college roommate, who ironically, even when I went to Nigeria, I was in grad school then too. And you know how I got there? Refund check.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Refund checks are the plug. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
And did you ever end up taking the class that you signed up for down here? The one that you wanted the refund check?
So I took it, but did I pass it?
Irrelevant. You ain't got to pass the class.
And that class, you know, I got 4 coach certifications at this point. I really was just taking it so that I could stay and buy myself some time.
Okay. Okay, y'all, we are $7 short.
Oh, wow.
Of giving away another one another one of Tish's Imposter Syndrome workshops. So if we get $7 more, we're going to give away another one. So
come through, y'all.
Whatever you got. Come on through. So but you know that this channel is about helping us get free. And if we can free ourselves from imposter syndrome, we can go pretty far. So $7.
I like Ludell. She said, we taught to keep up with the Joneses. And now I'm like, who the hell are they? And why do I need to follow them? That is so true. That's legit. Like I remember asking myself, like, why do I want this? Mm-hmm. What is this about? Mm-hmm. And that's the scary. I think that's the beginning of the scariness is beginning, like simply beginning to ask yourself questions about the things that you've just been on autopilot about. That's the beginning. I think we got another. I think we got it.
We got it. Yay! We got it. Shelly gave 10. Thank you, Shelly. So we're going to give away another one.
Yes.
And
let's do 2. I want to give one too. I feel like Oprah over here. You get a class.
Okay, so you're going to give a one. So Natisha, I sponsored one. Natisha sponsoring one.
Yes.
And y'all sponsored one.
Yes.
Okay. So do you want people to DM you or do you want them to continue to DM me?
Oh, girl.
I don't know how you feel about your DM.
Look, I don't even know how this thing works.
Okay, so we're not, no. We're not going to do that. Y'all DM me.
Praise God.
Y'all DM me.
I'm like, wait, what is you doing? What you got the people doing?
Grace, thank you for your donation. We appreciate it. That'll go to some of the fees.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Mind, body, spirit. Let's get free holistically. Let's go.
Free. Okay. Let's see what is going on here. All right. So to win again for a new person, the first imposter syndrome workshop, what you have to do, I'm trying to get this off of so you can see my name. My IG name is Sheeta D. You have to DM me, but not a yellow heart. So don't try to do that now. Natisha, which emoji should they DM me?
Oh, which emoji? Let's see. Mm-hmm. What's my favorite? Look, I need to look. I feel like I need to have a class on this too. Wait, give me a sec. My favorite emoji. Oh, Mexico flag.
Mexico flag. First person to send me the Mexico flag gets it.
Let's go. All
right.
That's exciting.
Let's see what's popping in my DMs.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I love giving stuff away.
You know, it makes you feel so
like
good.
Christmas. And I love it when the community comes together and it's like,
yes.
We did that last week with Libria's Quit Commuting Conference. All right, I see it goes to, nope, hold up. DJ and Jossie's mom. DJ and Jossie's mom. DM me your email address.
Yes, so we can get you set
and
up.
your name. DJ and Jossie's And we're going to give away another one in about 5 to 10 minutes. So someone has already won the second workshop. We're going to give away another one, but I want to talk to you some more about do you have goals for your time in Mexico?
So, sort of. My intention initially was to be fluent in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically, to Liddell's point, when we were talking about the Joneses, I was like trying to take tests and like measure my fluency levels. And then one day, thank goodness I have an accountability partner. We were talking about that. And I realized, like, the hell does that even mean? Like, being able to pass a test, what purpose does that serve for my end goal? Like, what's the point? And what I realized, my actual point, what I really wanted to do was to be able to like move around, ask for what it is that I needed, and almost kind of be able to go undetected.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of can do that. Like, my food Spanish, on point, grade A. You can't beat me. I can order anything at the restaurant. Now, I'm not going to be able to talk politics or, I don't talk politics in English. So, so it's like, you know, I realized that I had been not paying attention necessarily, but I recognized that, oh, my Spanish is actually really, really good, right? When fluent speakers are like talking to me and I'm like, dude, I don't know all the words. Or when they're talking to me and I do know like a good portion of those words. Like it's been very interesting. So I wanted to be fluent. I just want to accomplish my dreams while I'm here, right? So I've started swim lessons. That's been on my bucket list. My mama coming down for my birthday in October. This will be her first plane ride, her first international trip. She just got her passport.
Wow.
So like, just thinking about that makes me want to cry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, bringing my mama out the country is like, oh my God.
Yeah. And pause for a second. For so many of us, when we take the leap, we open the door for our family to take new steps for them because they see us doing it.
Yes.
And the cartel hasn't killed us. And
please.
And the stray dogs haven't eaten us in the streets. Like all of those things, they see that it's possible. It's doable.
Yes.
They see us living happy, healthy, whole lives.
Yeah.
And this can change the trajectory of generations to come. Like it is possible to do that when they see you being brave and taking these steps.
And being free.
And being
free. I'm saying when one person gets free, it literally opens the door for all of us, your entire bloodline, to be free. So, you know, bringing my mama here is huge. You know, that's something that I thought, you know, I always had this idea that I needed a 6-figure business or a 7-figure company in order to just bring my mama to, you know what I mean? Like, and that's not true. Like, people put all these all or nothing expectations. Like, I'm either rich or I'm poor. And it's like, there's a whole in between. Most of our life is spent in the in between. Like, so, Spanish fluency, learn how to swim. I came here with the intention of hosting retreats. So I definitely intend to do that. So this year I'll be doing a virtual retreat more than likely. I haven't told anybody else that. So y'all are the first to hear. So I'll invite those who have attended the workshop, either live or the recorded. So definitely look out for that because I want people to have like a baseline familiarity with me at least. But I think, I don't know. Ironically, I need to sit down and do some more of that, right? Because all my old goals were based on I need to have a 6-figure business to do. And coming here, it like totally threw that out the water because I recognized I don't have that, and I didn't need to have that in order to live the life that I actually desired. So I'm in this process now where I'm reworking and re-identifying like what's the actual goal, right? Like there was a 6 or 7 figure company, but for what? Like what was the point of that, right? Like I wanted to be able to see the beach. I'm moving there in a couple of weeks. It's like this very weird thing. Deborah, I just met her yesterday. She's from Baltimore.
Oh, you met her?
Yes, she's from Baltimore.
Hey, girl, hey.
Yes.
We hung out when she was in Mexico City.
I love it.
And so I said the same thing last week. I'm saying it this week. Do not be afraid that moving abroad means leaving community. It means building another community, right? Yeah. Building another community on top of what you have. I met Natisha at our friend had a birthday weekend.
Yes.
I met her there, connected with a whole bunch of people that weekend. I met Deborah online. She came to Mexico City. So we've met in person. She's in Playa. So Natisha met her. Like this is what happens when you travel the world. Tish and I have been in Thailand together, right?
Yes.
Doing the same thing in Playa that we did in Thailand. She's
hanging
been in
out
Mexico City with me.
Yeah.
Like, this is, and it's not, no, this is, I don't want this to sound shady, but we're not best friends, but we are connected, right?
But we cool,
right?
And we like each other. That's what I mean about genuine. When you genuinely like people, stay in touch with them.
Stay in touch.
Reach back out. Somebody cross your mind, like shoot them a message. Hey, just want to check on you. What you up to?
Because the people that you meet on this journey, the other wanderers like you, the other people who are exploring the world, know what you're going through and are willing to do things for you, but other people might not be willing to do, right? Like, because that's your community. They understand, right? They understand what you're going through and what this life is like. And not a lot of people understand what this life is like. And so having that community that gets it, that knows, okay, you just moved to town. You don't know how to pay your light bill. Let me talk you through that. Adelia is one of those people for me. Picky Girl Travels the World. Like, I need a resource. If I need a resource, I tell her. She might not have it, but if it comes across her, she's going to pass it to me, right? The other day I was like, I need to find a new realtor. 4 days later, there was a message in my WhatsApp, like, this person. There you go. She didn't have it when I talked to her the first time, but it passed her. It came across her somehow.
Yeah.
She remembers, this is what I need. And that is what the community will do for you. You're not losing your community at home. Your relationships will be different, right? Everything changes over time, but you are building a new community wherever you go.
Yeah.
All right.
100%.
So African Queen One Giselle, I shared Natisha's IG in the comments. On IG, she's Coach Tish.
Yeah.
So Coach Tish on IG.
I guess I can't update this. I probably should have changed my name. I didn't know.
Oh, no worries. No worries. Okay, so what haven't we talked about?
I feel like everything. That's so interesting. Somebody asked what was my last straw that made me say, this is it, I'm out. I don't know if I necessarily had one. I didn't have a last straw. Like, I don't know if you saw the beginning, but I've always wanted to live abroad since I went abroad the first time. So
it wasn't that something was wrong. You just wanted something different.
Yeah. Now, let me be clear. So I went abroad the first time in 2008. I attempted to move abroad in 2013. And in 2013, I was like, oh, this is some bullshit. America, blah, 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 blah. And I ran out of money. And I recognized I was in Belize for 2 months. And in that experience is when I became present to the fact that I needed more than my hatred of America in order to sustain me abroad. I needed more than that. That wasn't enough.
That's a good point. And something that comes up frequently is I find that some people pick places because somebody else liked it. And that's not it.
Yeah. You're going to eventually, you could start there, but eventually you've got to do your work.
Yes.
You've got to figure out what you desire.
Yes.
What are you being
What
called
you
to?
need. Yes.
What are you being called to? What is your destiny linked to? What is your path? You can start. I mean, because I feel like my Bali and Thailand was based on other. I was like, oh yeah, I want to go there. Oh yeah, I want to go there. And I went there and I was like, no, this ain't it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say at that time. I didn't see anybody talking about Mexico, but I was like, I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. Like,
Right.
this is where I trusted God the first time, like
Mm-hmm.
wholeheartedly. You know, I'm coming with no plan the first time I ever been here. So you've got to you've got to tap into that, your inner knowing, your connection. You know, if you're Christian, you know, the veil was torn. So you got to be able to go to God for yourself. You know, you've got to figure out what that connection is that doesn't require somebody else. You can start with someone else, but eventually, and hopefully, whoever you are following, because that's one of the things that I've had to learn too, that whoever I follow or pay attention to, that they lead me back to myself.
Okay. Okay. Now, for people who want to move abroad but don't have sort of an intuitive calling for where to go, one of the things I teach people when I'm helping them in figure out a career break or an expat move is close your eyes, think about your ideal city. What are the top 5 things? What are the top 5 things you would name in your city? Do you want to be by the beach? Do you want to be in a big city? Do you want hot weather, cold? What are the things that are important to you? And then keep that list close and compare it to all the cities that come up for you. Because if you so I hear this from people, I want to be in a really big city, but I heard the community in Playa is really good. So I want, it's really big, so I want to go there. And I'm like, you can go there, but if you want to be in a really big city,
this ain't it.
That ain't it, right?
And you're not gonna, and the community, you're gonna find fault with the community because this ain't actually where you want to be. You're gonna be one of those people that's complaining about the people here because you ain't supposed to be here. Go carry your tail when you're supposed to be.
So, you know, think of the things that the whole wide world is open to you, right? Like you can, for a lot of us, it may not be for years at a time, but for some amount of time, you can go anywhere you want to go. That can seem overwhelming, or it can seem really freeing. However you manage that, figure out what you want from a city. Is community the number one thing on your list? Then don't go to a place where you haven't done the work to meet people ahead of time. Like she said, get into Facebook groups, meet the people, see what they're saying about the city. But don't take their word for it only, because just because they love it doesn't mean you'll love it too. You have to go there and see how it sits with you. For me, Mexico City, it was just the energy here. Like I didn't know anybody when I decided to move here, I didn't know anybody who lived here. Adelia and I met months after I moved here. But the city spoke to me, and that was enough for me. Like that was enough for me. I knew this was my city after visiting. If you haven't visited yet and you're not sure what your city is, think of the most important things on your list. What do you want to get from the experience? And find those places. Don't go chasing the cheapest rent, right? Don't go doing that. And don't go chasing things that I speak so highly of Mexico City. But Tish just said right here, it's not for her. It's not going to be for a lot of you. It should be for everyone, but some of y'all ain't got no taste, so whatever.
I like sand.
It's not going to be for everyone. So you have to look into yourself and say, what is it that I want? And do I think the city can get it? And if it doesn't, right? Am I open to moving to a new place? Because you also have to remember that your first move isn't your last move. There's no reason for it to be, right? You can go anywhere.
Yeah. And I would even I love that, the 5 things you want. So many of us don't know what we want. We just know what we don't want. So I would even take that a little bit deeper and say, what are 5 things you actually like about where you are?
Oh, okay.
Right? Because I was talking about a large part of where I am now was based on me following my feeling, right? Like, what do you feel? Like, what do you actually love about where you are? We know about what we don't like. It's like, oh, I hate this. But what do you like?
And so many people can't actually say that or won't come up with an answer at all.
Find something you like. I promise you, just because you find something you like don't mean that you're going to have to stay. Right? Like me, and it's so funny. Somebody asked me about a church because I talk about God. me and my God is the same as some folks' universe or some folks, whatever people call it, whatever they hire, whatever. Um, but God for me is a lot of times remind me of my mama. And so I was part of the conscious community. I told my mama she was God at one point. She
Did
thought I
she
was crazy.
understand that in the words you
Yeah,
used?
she was
Or
just
that
like,
chakra?
she was just like, yeah, all right. My mother is totally like, whatever. But I would say that to say my relationship with God is often reminds me of my relationship with my mother. And if you don't have a positive relationship with your mother, choose somebody you have a positive relationship with. But what I'm talking about is this idea that when I'm grateful for something, when I'm grateful for what I have, I'm more likely to get more. So this idea around finding things that you enjoy about your city, I know for me, it reminded me, like I was scared to think about what I enjoyed about what I actually, my current scenario, because I was scared that if I find some joy that I'm gonna have to stay here. Not necessarily. But if I identify, I'm clear about what I actually enjoy, what I love about this space, then I'm more clear about the things that I dislike about this space. And then I'm even more clear about, all right, so what do I need to create differently? So I have a worksheet for myself that I call Love, Hate, Shifts to Create. And it's basically that process. So what do I love? Like, for example, I may love community, but what do I hate about that same thing? What is community is super small minded? There are no entrepreneurs here. So then the shift to create is, all right, so I want to belong to a community of entrepreneurs,
Okay.
right? And if you go through this process, identifying what do you love, what do you hate, what shift do you need to create, it will give you a list, at least something to go on. Because often a lot of people go into Facebook groups and they're like, hey, where should I move? Don't nobody damn know.
I hate that question so much.
How the hell I know where you should be?
I hate
Like,
that question.
but if you know what kind of shifts you're looking for, then you can ask better questions. Somewhere I read the quality of your life is dependent on the quality of the questions you ask.
Yep.
And so once you know like what question you can ask, all right, I'm looking for a group of entrepreneurs. I'm looking for a place that's XYZ, but you've got to know what your XYZ is. And
Right.
so
sometimes I get DMs like that. Like, I'm thinking about Mexico. What city should I move to? And I'm like, I have literally never had any contact with you before. This is, I can't. And so this is another thing I speak about a lot. When you go to the Facebook groups, Natisha just hit on it, you need to get the best results. And we want you in a lot of these groups. If you're not in the Exodus Summit Facebook group, come through.
yes,
Helping each other out as they move abroad. But if you come in with informed questions, you will get better answers. So do your Googles before you do your Google search before you come in the group. Ask to validate the answer that you got. Ask because you could not find, your question is so specific, you couldn't find an answer. But I'm looking for a city near the water that I'm gonna love. Ain't it? It's not.
right.
It's too big. There are too many oceans. Because different people love different things. And so the more specific you can be, the better guided the people who are providing answers will be. And always remember that what works for me isn't going to work for you.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have to take every answer you get online with a grain of salt. It is coming from a different human with different values and different views. Ask the questions in the Facebook group. Ask good questions. You will get better answers.
Yeah. And if you need support, like, come on, Rashida, support does this. Come on, yo.
I do. Let me drop a link to that.
You know what I'm saying? Rashida does this.
If you don't know, I help people who want to move abroad. I help people who want to take career breaks. I help Black women who want to move abroad and who want to take career breaks. I help them figure out how to do the thing they want to do from a logistical perspective, from this is what I want, but I never really thought it was going to happen perspective. This is what I do. So come through. Let me find a link and give it to y'all. Okay. While I'm doing that, I think it's time for our last giveaway of of boop boop, our last giveaway of the workshop. It's not our last giveaway totally, because there's another one, but typing and talking. I'm going to give away a weekend pass to Exodus Summit Homecoming.
Ooh, come on now. Hey.
But before that, we're going to give away our last imposter workshop today. Imposter freedom. I'm messing it up. Imposter freedom workshop?
Yes. Free and 4.
Free and 4. Okay. So we're going to give away another free and 4. And if you don't win, don't be hesitant to sign up anyway, right? Like this is if you can clear yourself of imposter freedom, if you can do that work, everything gets easier. I believe, right? I think everything gets easier when you have cleared up the things that are in your way. And imposter freedom, like Tish said, if you are a Black woman in a workplace with others, you probably got a little bit in the cracks and the crevices, it's sticking around. So I just
all your freedoms are on the other side of imposter freedom.
Yes. I dropped the link to Natisha's workshop. We're going to give away our last one of the day right now because I kept Tish on a little bit longer than I told her I would. So what should they type? It's Sheeta D is my IG. So message me. What is the message you want them to send me, Tish?
Let's see. I want to be free. Free as a bird. Free as a bird. Let's do that one.
Free as a bird. Send me a message that says free as a bird. The first one in gets it.
Free as a bird.
I see some of y'all typing.
Let's go. Free as a bird.
Oh, 48 Queen Street.
Yay!
That was all you. Okay. DM me your email address and your name. Queen. Okay.
I love it. This was fun.
Yay! I'm glad. I think we have to have you back on in a few months because we did a lot of work today.
Yeah, we did.
So because I want the best for all of you, I want you, even if you didn't workshop, sign up, join Natisha's membership, get those monthly meetings, getting together, get to the live event, do the work, because not doing the work isn't going to get the work done in the sense that it's still going to be there. Until you do it, it's always going to be hanging around. And even when you do the work, it's still going to be there. You might feel it less, right? You just got to keep doing the process, doing the work so that you feel like you belong in all the spaces you're in. You feel like you are who you say you are. The imposter syndrome is gone. That is how you get free. And freedom and flexibility are your two themes, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, freedom and flexibility. All right. So even if you didn't win, sign up, do the work. Like I said, the work will always be there. It's going to wait on you to do it, right? Yeah. Like it's waiting on you to do it. And until you do it, it's hanging around. Okay. But we're going to wrap it up now with one last giveaway. Not messaging me here, messaging me on IG at Sheeta D. This is the weekend pass that I'm giving away. You attended Exodus Summit last year.
I did.
What related to Exodus Summit should they type? Yes, African Queen. It is Sheeta D is my IG. What should they type to me to win the weekend pass?
Exodus.
Exodus. Type Exodus.
Come Listen, I love Bob Marley. Let's go. Type Exodus. Let's go.
Oh, Tiff P.
Yeah,
That's you.
Tiff.
Tiff P 118. You're the first one.
Yay!
All right. Tiff, send me your full name and your email address. Woo-hoo. Okay. Yay. Thanks to everyone for participating today. Thanks to everyone who donated so that we could give away one more workshop. So that's 3 Imposter Syndrome workshops and a weekend pass to Exodus Summit.
Yes. Bow, bow,
Bam,
bow.
bam, bam. The community. It's the community. All right. Thank you for being here. So people can work with you by taking the Imposter Syndrome workshop.
The Imposter Freedom Workshop. Yeah, that's the only, that everything starts there. I don't work with, if you want to work with me, because it starts there, because Imposter Freedom, what that really means is you are taking a step toward being fearless. That's really what it means. So all my one-on-one coaching, group coaching, like the retreats, anything that I do starts with you taking the Imposter Freedom Workshop.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can follow me on IG at Coach Tish.
All right. Thank you for being here and sharing your time with us. This was good.
This is amazing.
This is good. Okay, so y'all follow her. She's Coach Tish on IG. If you're not following me, come on through. If you haven't subscribed already, it's what we do. We're here. Come on.
Yes.
Subscribe button. Come through. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Next week, I have a special guest joining me from China. Because how I feel like China is the most foreign place, right? Like if you're moving as a Black woman leaving the US, China feels like the biggest step you can take. At least to me, it does. So we're going to talk through some of that next week. Thank you, Tish, for being here.
Thank
I
you.
really enjoy always your energy, your presence is a blessing. So thank you. And y'all, thanks for showing up and being with us. And until next week. Bye.
See ya.